Hi, I'm Jennifer Kendall, founder of Acuity Path. I support women entrepreneurs in understanding and transforming their relationship with money, while also mastering the systems and processes to manage it with confidence. I combine deep mindset work with practical money tools so that you can move out of fear, step into clarity, and build a future that feels supportive and sustainable. Whether you are watching from your desk or taking a quiet pause in a busy day, I'm really glad that you're here. In today's video, we're exploring whether it's truly possible to build a thriving business without working every weekend, and more specifically, how your relationship with rest will actually connect you to your relationship with money, self-worth, and the kind of business you're building. My hope is that this conversation helps you see your choices with more compassion and feel more grounded and trusting of yourself as you move forward. I want to start with a question. When was the last time you took a full weekend off and didn't feel guilty about it? If you had to think about this for a moment, you're not alone. So many of the brilliant women that I work with, they are capable and deeply committed to their business, but they are also exhausted. And not because they're doing anything wrong, but because somewhere along the way, they learned that their worth lives in their output and that rest is something you earn, that slowing down, especially when money feels uncertain, is almost irresponsible. And I want to gently offer you a different perspective today. Here's what I see a lot. It's Saturday morning. You had every intention of taking the day off, and somehow you're back at your laptop telling yourself it's just this once, just to get ahead. And then next week, you're really going to rest. But the next week comes and you're right back there again, sitting in front of your laptop. This is not a discipline problem, and it's not a time management problem, believe it or not. It's a signal. When your business doesn't have structure, your time fills the gap. And when your pricing doesn't fully reflect your value, you compensate with hours. And when your offers feel disconnected from yourself, you're always starting over. Working every weekend is not a strategy, it's a symptom of something underneath that deserves your attention. And here's the part that connects directly to money, because it always does. The decisions we make when we're depleted, they cost us. Underpricing a package because we're too tired to hold our own value, or avoiding a sales conversation because we don't have the emotional bandwidth for it. Or perhaps we say yes to a client who isn't a fit because we're operating from scarcity. These are not moral failures. They're what happens when our nervous system is running on empty. So let's talk about what's going on beneath the surface. Many of us, especially women, were taught directly or indirectly that productivity equals worth. That if you're not doing, you're falling behind, and that your rest has to be deserved. And for women entrepreneurs, especially those that have come from corporate careers, that conditioning, it runs deep. So when your brain says, shouldn't you be doing more right now? I want you to hear that differently because that's not the truth. That's a pattern. And our patterns, they can shift. So here's a reframe that I invite you to sit with. Constantly working does not create safety. It creates the feeling of safety while quietly building more stress, more reactivity, and more decisions made from a depleted place. Real safety in your business comes from structure, from clarity, from knowing your numbers and trusting your systems. It doesn't come from being available every hour of every weekend. I want to name something that doesn't get talked about enough. Rest and revenue are connected. Not in the hustle culture kind of way. Actually, it's the opposite. When you are even a little more rested, a little more grounded, you can make clearer decisions, including clearer financial decisions. You communicate your value with more confidence. You spot opportunities you would have missed otherwise when in burnout. You follow through on what matters instead of spinning in what feels urgent. Think about a decision that you've made recently when you were exhausted or overwhelmed. Maybe at that time you ended up undercharging. Maybe you avoid looking at your numbers. Maybe you even said yes when everything in you wanted to say no. Now, imagine making that same decision from a calm, supported place. That difference, that's what rest creates. This isn't about luxury, it's about sustainability. And sustainability is a money strategy. Now, I'm not going to tell you just to take the whole weekend off because I know that's not always realistic. And especially if you're in a season of growth or financial pressure, or this is just really new to you. What I will invite you to consider are small, intentional shifts. What if this weekend you defined the 1 to 3 things that actually need to happen? Not the full list, not the real list, just 1 to 3. What if you set a clear stop time and honored it, even if everything isn't perfect at that time? What if you gave your brain 5 minutes of closure before you closed the laptop? Just writing down what's next for Monday so that the mental loop, it quiets down. What if you protected even 3 hours as truly yours? These aren't productivity tactics. They're acts of self-trust. They're you deciding that your well being is part of your business model, not something you fit in when everything else is done. And if money is feeling uncertain right now, if that's the thing that's making it really hard to step away, I want to speak to that directly. Pushing harder from a depleted state doesn't stabilize your revenue. It actually creates more inconsistency in your energy, in your messaging, and your follow through. What stabilizes revenue is structure, tracking your numbers so uncertainty doesn't spiral into avoidance, creating offers that are repeatable, setting boundaries with clients that you can actually hold. When your business has a little bit more structure underneath it, stepping away stops feeling like a gamble and it starts feeling like a choice. Here's what I want you to hear most today. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to finish everything before you rest. You don't need to even hit a revenue milestone before you rest. You don't need to deserve it. Rest is not a reward at the end of a perfect week. It's a resource, one that helps you think more clearly, lead more confidently, and build something that supports your life, not something you need to escape from. The question I started with was, can you really run a thriving business without working every weekend? And my answer is yes. Not by doing less, but by building smarter, by thinking more clearly, by treating your own sustainability as a non negotiable, because that's what it truly is. So this week, I invite you to choose one small thing, just one. Maybe it's a hard stop time. Maybe it's a 3 hour window that's truly for you or you and your family. Maybe you go and play together. Maybe it's closing the laptop without tying up every loose end and trusting that you and your business will both be okay. Let it be imperfect. Let it feel unfamiliar. That's not you falling behind. That's you starting to lead differently. So thank you for spending this time with me today. If it resonated with you, I'd love to hear what came up. Share it in the comments or come find me and let's continue the conversation. And if you want to go deeper into both mindset and strategy, I'd love to support you. So until next time, take good care of yourself. You're building something meaningful and you deserve it to be sustainable while you do it.